help them through that traumatic experience. They provide job training, they provide job location services, they provide a lot of services. Again, the Veterans Crisis Line, chat line, text line, we have a lot of veterans call that. Arizona at one time was #1 for hotline calls. We used to get about 700 calls per fiscal year, which is from October to October. One of the reasons why we think that we did so high is just because of our mental health network out here, that people are used to calling crisis lines. A lot of the crisis lines, a lot of crisis calls were, I'm not doing too well. I just need help. I just need to be hooked up with services. So we were able to get them hooked up with services. Suicide prevention coordinator. Each VA has one.
Just some interesting questions. When you're dealing with these people on the phone, you want to make not just a connection, but you want to find out where they're at. How do you go about that? Because all these things are based on getting them help, but how do you get the information from them? Like, you may know their phone number or address. How do you approach that?
Well, one of the things that we do is, if they're in immediate crisis, if you have a phone number, police are able to track that phone number. I don't want to get people paranoid, but most phones from 2005 and up have a GPS chip. If you're calling me on a cell phone, I can pretty much find out where you're located if there's an emergency. We had one person call, and all we had, the information was that they're on a corner of, I think it was Dunlap and 51st and Glendale, and we were able to track that number. What we do is we ask a lot of questions. You know, say you're talking to me and I'll say, oh, you know, how old are you? And you tell me, you know, you say, I'm 42. And it's okay, I know you're a male of 42. And then if I have your number, I assume, you know, you're Caucasian or other things going on. Our face sheet has a lot of that information. So if you're enrolled, I can say that he's a white male, age 42, weighing 178 pounds, and you know, stuff like that. You ask questions, but you ask them very nonchalantly. And it's like, oh, I hear a car in the background. You know, are you on the street? Are you safe? You know, we've had people call us from Circle K's, things like that, and we were all able to trace them. First thing, if you can get, is a phone number. That's the most important thing. I've had one where we got a phone number, but he said he was driving up and down the 60. And then, you know, I'm like, oh, you know, what kind of car do you have? I'm like, oh, you know, good. You know, just talking cars and things like that. So we were able to find out what kind of car he had. And I usually have somebody else trying to call a family member and say, okay, what kind of car do you drive, if you know the license numbers, things like that. But if the police have a social security number, they can find what registration is. Those are little tricks that we use.
Do you have a crisis number for homeless vets that you find that are homeless?
We do have a special number for homeless. I don't have that number. But if you call up the main crisis number, they will help you. What we do is we have two special, when you call the crisis line, it goes two different ways. You have the homeless people, and then you have the crisis people. What we do have is what is called a HUD-VASH program, which is HUD, and then VA supported housing. We can help somebody if they have some sort of income to get them Section 8 housing. So we can get them pretty quick. The President and the Secretary of the VA, their main goal is to end homelessness for veterans 2015.